22-year-old motorcyclist is fighting for life this morning after a crash with a truck in Osborne Park. The collision happened on Scarborough Beach Road just before 6 o'clock last night. The motorcyclist was taken to Royal Perth Hospital. This morning he's in a critical condition. The 60-year-old truck driver was not injured.
That 22-year-old motorcyclist that was critically injured, that was me. Yeah, that was almost 3 years ago now. We're about 2 years, 11 months down the track. I want to really tell this story, right? Because I've been thinking a lot about this recently. I'm having trouble recalling certain details. I'm starting to forget things, So I'm just hoping to get all of that out over a few videos, because otherwise we're going to be here for an hour. I could make a full movie talking. That's why I'm going to break it up into chapters. I'm going to jump right on into it and just start detailing it day by day. I think that's the most efficient way for me to get all this information and be able to recall it and remember things. I do remember a lot of the stuff, but I need to think about it sequentially, because it's a lot of shit. A lot of shit happened. I've probably had, I think it's around 7 surgeries now, and I'm probably going to have a couple more eventually. It's a long process, But without further ado, let's just start April 17th, 2023. This is the day it all happened, okay? And to be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot of anything. Yeah. I'm going to get really emotional in this video, so just bear with me. Yeah, man, so yeah, I don't remember much from that day at all. God, I gotta clear my throat. Give me a second. Okay. So yeah, I don't really remember anything, and that's probably a blessing, if I'm being honest. But it kind of clouds my judgment. I don't really know how to feel about all of it, because I've been told one story, and this is the real only information I can go off, because I don't remember what happened myself. So I have to take in the reports, the accounts, and basically there are 2 things I remember from that day. Distinctly, 2 distinct things. I'll give you a bit of background for the first one. So I'd only just started a new job. I'd moved from construction into the field of information technology. So I'd only just started. Like, I was actually a month into this new gig. And yeah, this all happened. I had a crash. So I was making my coffee at the office that morning. I distinctly remember that. And then the other thing I remember was a voice message I'd sent to my girlfriend. It was just me, like, going down a staircase. That's literally what it was. Because I was heading to her house after work that day. Obviously, I never made it there. I instead made it to Royal Perth Hospital. So, yeah. I don't remember any of the crash. Like I said, probably a blessing. But what I've been told is I collided with the truck. I'm not sure how that all happened. And then I got launched 30 meters or so onto the other side of the road and actually into like near a pole or a median strip. And I was moving at 90 kilometers an hour in the air. So that's pretty fucking fast to be flying with no protection besides a helmet, a jacket, some boots and pants. But if there's anything you can learn from this, from me, if you're riding a motorcycle, please wear your helmet, wear your jacket, get padded pants, jackets. I had one that was a hoodie, an Alpinestars hoodie. I'll show it on the screen. I had that. I had a leather jacket. I had a bunch of other jackets. They're really important, guys. You need to wear your gear 100%. That is the biggest thing you could take away from this, because if I hadn't worn my gear, I can almost guarantee you I would be mentally disabled, permanently physically disabled. I will be to some degree, but not to the degree I would have if I wasn't wearing my gear. And I'd probably be dead, if I'm being completely honest. It's a bit dark to think about it, but yeah, that's just what happened. So that was April 17th, 2023. I have the crash after work, riding home from work, and I end up in Royal Perth Hospital. And I don't really remember anything until the 18th of April, which is the next day. I don't even have any photos of myself on my phone until the 19th. That's how far out of it I was. They probably had me on heaps of painkillers. I know I was on fentanyl, ketamine, and a bunch of other stuff they had me on, because if I wasn't on that stuff, I was screaming in agonizing pain. So I'm in the hospital. They're drugging me up. I don't even know what's happening at this point in time, right? And I'll tell you, one of the scariest things, or one of the scariest experiences of my life, was induced by these drugs that they'd given me in hospital. It was, I don't know what day or night it was. It was before the 19th, but after the 17th. So this was probably on the night of the 18th of April. And I was in the intensive care unit and then moved to the trauma unit. But whilst I was in the trauma unit, I was obviously on all these drugs they'd given me. And yeah, you kind of lose your mind from all that stuff. And that was really scary. I'll recount the story that happened. This happened to me while I was in hospital. So basically, they don't know whether my neck was broken, my spine was broken, anything like that. I did have a broken vertebrae in my neck, as it turns out later. So I did need to stay in a neck brace. But basically, when you're in a neck brace or when you're in the trauma unit, they have to roll you in your bed. I don't remember exactly what it was for. I'm pretty sure it was to like keep me clean and just check on me. But the drugs they had me on had me so out of it that I genuinely believed I was being experimented on some like remote island, like something you'd see in a horror movie, you know? I thought that was reality at the time. It wasn't until obviously later I start to come off these drugs, I'm getting back to normal, that I realized that that was some crazy like trip. I was tripping out, like literally just tweaking for no good reason. Like I was just being rolled around in a bed. They're just taking care of me, and I was petrified. I remember actually speaking to one of the nurses the day after. And yeah, we both just laughed it off because it's like, what else are you going to do? Like, I'm not going to let it affect me. It was just a figment of my imagination, you know? I thought that was quite funny. It's still crazy. But yeah, basically, All that's happened. I'm now out of the trauma unit. So I now go to the orthopedic unit. Now I've got a fixation, an external fixation on my leg. I've probably got photos of that I'll chuck up on the screen. And we didn't really know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen with my leg. I actually got a brain bleed from the crash. So that ended up healing on its own, which is great because I still have cognitive function. But they had to do some tests on me. You know, I had to recite, it was like 3 or 4 words maybe. Or it was pictures. And I had to remember the order or what pictures I had got shown and which ones I hadn't. You know, so it was basically just testing my memory to see that I was still able to retain information and process stuff, think about it, and, you know, sleep on it, and then it's retained. So you had to do three days in a row and get a perfect score every single day. So the first 2 days I did good, and then I failed on the 3rd day. So I had to restart again. First day, 2nd day, and 3rd day. So I passed on my 2nd run of this brain test. Mental aptitude, perhaps. I'm trying to find words to describe it. Memory retention. But yeah, at this time, I wasn't even looking at getting on crutches for 12 weeks until basically my neck brace came off, because you can't use crutches while you're on a neck brace because it might mess with your spine and stuff like that. Obviously, I only had a broken vertebrae which connects my trapezius muscle to your chest. So, like, or to the spine, sorry. So, it wasn't like any real spinal damage, but it was a close call. So, I had to keep that on for 3 months. So, I'm still at the hospital. I'm not going to go too far ahead. We're still there, okay? It's pretty mundane from those initial periods onwards. It's just figuring out what we can do, what we need to do, etc. So I eventually ended up getting transported to Bentley Hospital, which is pretty much the non-emergency hospital. So how the hospital system works in Western Australia, at least, is Royal Perth Hospital is the emergency hospital. It's the critical urgent care. It's the best hospital in the state, basically. Believe it or not. Okay, yeah. Anyway, I've got a lot of grief with the medical system after being through it so much, but I mean, at least I'm not paying for it, right? Thank goodness for Medicare. And thank goodness for that, to be honest. Because if I was in America, I probably would have unplugged my life support. I would have been like, sorry, how much? Yeah, just end it. Like, going to lifelong debt for hospital treatment, you know? America, fuck yeah, bro. Anyway, I got sidetracked. So I got distracted from where I was, but basically what I was saying is Royal Perth Hospital is the tier 1, it's the S tier hospital in terms of West Australian healthcare, in terms of complexities and stuff like that. It is the S tier. I couldn't go private for any of my surgeries just because of the complexity of the case. It wasn't an option to go private, even if I wanted to. So yeah, I've just had to deal with it, and it has been what it's been. So I ended up going to Bentley, which is the tier 2 hospital, which is like, it's not as urgent, but you still need to be watched by people. Your vitals are much better, stuff like that. Blood markers are all looking good. Then they'll probably send you to Bentley if you've got to still be looked after. So they ended up moving me to the Tier 2 hospital, Bentley. So you get moved from Royal Perth, Tier 1, and if it's less urgent and you're not like dying immediately or soon, then they'll move you to Bentley, is basically what it is. When you need less doctor supervision and more just nurses and stuff, they'll send you to Bentley. So I was there for just under a week, just before I got sent home. And just before I move on from the whole hospital topic, for this chapter at least, I just want to say thank you to everyone who reached out to me via message, came and visited me, gave me a call, whatever it was. If you got in contact with me during that period of time and sent me a message with support, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I got so much support from all of you, so thank you very much to each and every one of you who reached out to me. And if you didn't, that's okay, because I understand. We've all got our own shit. We've all got our own battles. We don't know what everyone's going through at different times, so I never hold it against anyone. If you don't visit me in hospital and you're feeling guilty about it, please don't. Because it's understandable. Hospitals are miserable places and they remind people of bad things, bad times. You're never in the hospital for a good time. I always found positive light in it because I kind of had to, or else I'd lose my mind. But yeah, they're not a great place to be. So I never held anything against anybody if they didn't visit me or didn't reach out to me. There may have been some times where I felt so alone that I kind of just lashed out at everything. And I want to get better at that. I want to be a better person. I want to grow. And it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. I think that's the biggest thing you can take away from all of this is you can make mistakes. Some of them you can't come back from, like murdering somebody. It's not something you ever come back from. But a lot of the mistakes you make in your own life aren't actually as big as you think. I kind of got grounded and humbled by this whole experience. I really realized, what really matters in those times, and it's your family, your friends, the people in your life. They are the most important component, because if they're going to be there for you when it's bad, then they're also going to be there when it's good, right? So you really learn a lot about the reality of life during all this. But yeah, anyway, I got off on a little bit of a tangent. So let's go back to the story. So now I'm back home. I've had a few surgeries in hospital. I'm recovering, but yeah, I'm in a neck brace. I can't really do anything for 3 months. So nothing really happens. It's all kind of a bit boring. So I won't bore you with all of that. I literally just played video games and watched YouTube mainly to pass the time, because that's all I could do. I wasn't physically capable of doing much else. After that 12 weeks had been up, I was finally able to shower. So I don't think I said that earlier, but I wasn't able to shower for 3 months. I can't describe how disgusting that makes you feel. but it was not very nice not being able to shower. So I was often having to wipe myself down in my bed, like a kind of a wipe bath, I'd call it. So you get like whatever antibacterial clean, like not cleaning, but for like skin and stuff like that, antibacterial wipes, and you just go nuts. Basically, that's all you could do. I can't stress how euphoric that first shower was after 3 months, 12 weeks without showering. And I go and sit in the shower chair. I get the water on hot. It's hot. My girlfriend runs it before I get in, so it is already warm. And yeah, from there, I literally feel like I was bathing in like gold or something. It was like the most glorious shower I've had in my entire life. And that's why I don't really regret going through any of this or regret the actions that brought me to this. Because I now have an understanding of the world that is so fundamentally deep that I really appreciate the most simple, basic things. And I think that's truly beautiful. Because I used to be a bit obsessed with materials and material things. I wanted to get a new car. Never ended up getting one, thank goodness. I've just had a kind of cheap daily my whole life, and that's probably how I'm going to keep it for a long while. Now I might go back on those words and change that when I get better, but at the moment I'm feeling really grounded, and I really feel like I know what's actually important in life. It's not what you have, you know, because if I had died on that hospital bed, no one would have remembered me for what I had. They would have remembered me for who I was. Who I was as a person, as a character, whatever you want to call it. They would remember me for that. You know? So I guess this first chapter is kind of done. Just want to thank you guys for watching this first chapter and listening to it. There's probably going to be a few more coming out in time. The next one, we're going to be discussing my bone infection. So another near-death experience that we're going to break down. I'm going to tell you what antibiotics I had to take, what virus I had. We're going to look through my records, all that stuff. So tune in for that. Make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my story, if you enjoyed me just saying it how it is, please smash the like button. And make sure to leave a comment if you got any other questions about my story or suggestions. I'm not afraid to answer them. So whatever it is, chuck it in the comments. And even shoot me a DM if you want. And I'll respond to you and we can chat from there. But yeah, cheers for watching again, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.